Frost?
Yeah!
For all the two people who managed to get that we moved over.
Well, thank you everyone for patiently waiting. We are now live with our celebration Champagne Ratafia stretch goal that was unlocked at $550,000 for our Game Toppers 2.0 campaign. We had tons of difficulty with the original link. I just posted it on Game Topper Nation Facebook group and Game Toppers LLC Facebook page and Twitter. We'll share this out in our update too in case you happen to miss it. So today, this evening, it's Friday night, and we have with us the wonderful, the illustrious, the vivacious Kay King.
Hi guys, how's it going? At least it was shorter than last time. Woo! I thought I was gonna be here all week.
We have her wonderful fiance as well, Andy Nelson.
Hello.
With us. Kay and Andy have been such integral parts of Game Toppers right from the very beginning. They're dear friends of ours, but really they're very much like family. I always say that, Kay, you're like a daughter to me, and you're like a son to me too.
Thanks,
like
Dad.
a son to me, you know what I mean? And then I actually have a real son.
I'm not like a son to him.
We just forgot about you a little bit.
We have not been into the Champagne and the Ratafia yet. Okay. We are just so thrilled to be here. There's a reason why we're doing this. This celebration that we came up with this idea to have this goal because of you, our backers. And that's not just flowery speech. We actually had one of our dear backers. His name is Chris Henderson. He actually couldn't be here live with us tonight because he had a wedding that he had to attend. But he can't wait to get home to watch this video.
This is for you, Chris.
Well, and Chris is one of our wonderful backers. So many of you, we get to meet you at our conventions and get to interact with you and email back and forth. And we feel like you're part of the family too, because we have such wonderful conversations. And it's so endearing to have the relationship that we have. And I've always said with Game Toppers, I value the relationship more than I do the transaction. You know, the transaction's great. That's what helps us do what we do. But it's really this, I like to have long-term relationships, and that's what we've been so, thankful to be able to have. Chris is one of these backers. He comes up to me at Origins, okay? And he says, I have something for you. I said, really? What's that? And he comes up to me and he says, he gives me this bottle of champagne. Now, I'm not a big champagne drinker or anything, but so it's not like he had any indication, but he goes, I just want you to know, as a Gen 1 backer of Game Toppers, I've seen your company, I've seen how you function and grow, and I want you to know I fully support everything you do, and I know this campaign will be a success. Aww. And that was well out a week before the Kickstarter launch that he did this. It's amazing. Just crazy amazing. And I didn't even know it till today, but I took the label off, and there's a label here. It says, you think this is Berkey? I think you're pretty great. Here's 2 gifts in one. You get an amazing bottle of wine and $100 to spend on more wine. And there's a coupon code. And so I'm glad I didn't just throw it away. Well, I mean,
celebrating.
Who does that? Chris Henderson does that.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much. And more than the gift, it's the sentiment and the feeling behind your appreciation for what we've tried to do in the hobby with making an upgrade that would upgrade everybody's gaming experience, but to create an environment where we can have this kind of community. And Game Topper Nation, I don't care whatever groups are out there. This group is the best.
Aww.
Just the best.
Awesome.
So thank you. Another little bit of the story that we told you we would reveal is that there's a product out there in the champagne universe called Ratafia. Now, I've asked people, do you know what Ratafia is? Well, prior to going, Ratafia. So we went to Essen, my wife and I, last year to the Spiel Fair. We were working on what we're doing now, the international distribution contracts with large package distributors within the hobby and people that could handle fulfillment well. All of that work was done last October and continued into this year. Well, after that trip, we went to France, delivered a topper, and also did a little bit more work in France with another distributor. But we got to stay with my good friend, Barry Doublet, and his wife, Aurora, and their children. And we just love Barry and Aurora so much. The Doublets were so kind to have us in, and they live right by Epernay, France. Epernay, France is the headquarters of all champagne. So if you get champagne, that it comes from that region. It's legally required to come from there. If you get the sparkling wine, which we would have in the United States, if it's not from that region in France, it's called sparkling wine. And this is the recipe that Dom Perignon, which we actually viewed and went to the church actually where this monk designed, invented this. We toured a champagne factory. Well, everybody in this region knows everything there is to know about champagne. They all work in the industry. There's a champagne house on every corner. So it's crazy cool.
Wow, that is awesome.
Well, they do something in France called aperitif. And aperitif means that you have little snack crackers and cheeses, and of course you have champagne. And in France, they drink champagne like we drink pop.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And so we're doing aperitif for about a half an hour, and all of a sudden I'm starting to think, when is supper coming? I said, so are we about ready to eat? And he says, oh, no, another hour or so to go. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is different. And what you have to be careful of in France is if you empty your glass, they're going to fill it right back up. Well, I'm very much a lightweight. I'm not a heavy drinker, so it's like, we got to get some food going on here. We're going to have some problems. So, well, they brought out this product called Ratafia. Ratafia is a byproduct of the champagne grapes. They press the grapes down to about 40%, and that's the finest juice that is made for champagne. But then there's this leftover material. And pretty much all of the locals grab all this leftover material in great big jugs, and they home brew basically their own champagne. But it's not the same process. It's actually a sweeter version. It's actually a little thicker, almost like a liqueur type of thing. And so they allowed us to try that, and we tried it, and it was like, woo-hoo! Now, the champagne was okay, but this was like, I like this actually. So I told my wife, I said, we got to be careful, because if I lived here, I said, maybe I would develop a problem, because this stuff was pretty tasty. So nonetheless, my good friend Barry Doublet, when we were at the UK Games Expo, actually brings us a bottle of Ratafia from France for us to bring home to America, so that we could enjoy this with our celebration. And it's just we're gonna do a couple tastings of that and enjoy a toast with one another and celebrate all the joy of what's happened with Game Toppers. And so just super cool, right?
Exactly. Thanks for sharing that with us, guys.
Really means a lot to us.
Well, and it's I know that was kind of a long story, but that's why we did this particular stretch goal. It wasn't that we wanted to get online and have a party, but kind of. Just a little bit.
I wanted to try Ratafia, guys. It sounds really good.
The truth is, we have a lot of fun stuff. We're going to try to keep this as short as possible, so I'll try to quit talking. But we want to answer any questions you might have.
Not happen.
Not gonna happen.
I'm sorry. We know you. It's okay.
It is what it is, right? Seriously, we haven't been into the Ratafia yet.
Still sealed.
Yeah.
So we're going to break those open in just a little bit, and we're going to do some toast. But before we jump into that, we wanted to give you a couple updates. As the Kickstarter campaign continues, we're not going away. You're not going to have silence. We're going to continue to let you know about our progress and things that are going on as it's pertinent. Of course, we won't spam you and bother you, but you'll see some updates from us. One thing that we just recently did is posted an update about our new fantasy mat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I love that thing. It's
So gorgeous.
it gets me right here and also my wallet, but but I love it. The art is amazing. It's literally one of the best mats we've done, other than the Viking mat. Oh my gosh.
I love the
I love
Viking
that.
mat.
I love all of them.
We're going to talk about and give you some fun facts about some of our top sellers in just a little bit. But one little quick update. The fantasy bat, I could have chosen not to offer it this Kickstarter, for instance, because the artwork wasn't ready. Our artist had worked really hard developing the scythe-inspired resource mat and the Viking mat. But we felt like, well, why don't we give you a little insight, behind the curtain, so to speak, of how the art design process, what that actually looked like, and then allow you to be a part of it, knowing that the artwork wasn't completed. And thankfully, Yaroslav, right in the middle of our campaign at the very end, actually went on vacation for 2 weeks, which caused a little bit of a delay as well. Well, this guy is so amazing that every art direction I would give him, he always exceeded my expectations. There was never a question in my mind that this thing would just be gorgeous. But what we started seeing as that artwork started to develop, people were so enamored with the artwork, they didn't want it disturbed with the grid. However, we had communicated to everybody, this is going to have a 1-inch grid, so you can use it for role playing. And then we started hearing a lot of people saying, that's not the kind of mat I would want for a role-playing game because of the terrain and things, but they loved it. So they were asking me to do it without a grid. Well, very difficult to make 2 of these mats in all the different sizes, and that's a significant different business decision. So I started weighing what I was hearing. Well, then it got louder and louder to the point where I said, I think I may have misjudged this one and made a mistake regarding the demand for the 1-inch grids. Well, I put out a poll on our Game Topper Nation Facebook group, which many of you have joined, and put out an update. The results of that update are very telling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly, right now, I think the last number was 89 to 13 for against the grid, without the grid, and only 13 that want the grid. There was a couple folks who were very, very concerned that they wouldn't be able to get it without a grid. Or with a grid. They wanted the grid really badly. And so I really respect that, and I want to honor what we've communicated to people, but we also knew this was kind of a work in progress, and I don't want to put something out just to put it out if it isn't up to our standards. And I think the grid artwork actually is pretty nice.
It's cool.
I mean, Yaroslav actually painted, he put the grid overlay and actually painted every one with the color palette so that it would be subtle for each region and stuff. So it's quite a bit of work that went into it. I asked him to create that as a layer so that we could take it off of the artwork. I thankfully had done that ahead of time, not knowing this, but long and short of that, I think it's pretty obvious that we need to mostly do this mat as a non-gridded mat. A lot of people are talking that, hey, I'd like to have a acrylic overlay that they could put over it. Well, our acrylic overlays can be inverted upside down so you can see the artwork and then write with a dry eraser pen right on the acrylic cover. So that's an option for some. We are just producing our entire mat order. Everything is on schedule for our November fulfillment, just like we promised. Now, I never know if, you can have things happen in customs, you can have things happen at the manufacturer, but right now, everything is actually just a little bit ahead of schedule. Our order is placed. We've had many conversations the last month and a half regarding it. The storage bags, also some of our mat storage bags, all of that is included, and we are ahead of schedule. So very excited about that.
Awesome.
But the artwork this weekend, the actual files for this fanny mat. We haven't been drinking the Ratafia.
You keep saying that, and the more you say it, I think the less people are going to start believing.
Yeah.
We haven't been drinking the Ratafia.
It's real dubious right about now.
Maybe the Kool-Aid, but not the Ratafia. Okay, the Game Topper Kool-Aid.
We serve it in a top hat.
So, but we do have the capability of producing some small gridded quantity of like the Holmes and the Watson. If anybody really has a really strong desire to have that grid. But if you're okay with it, we would prefer to produce the most quantity with our version that is without grids. We think it looks gorgeous. We're going to talk about the rating actually of that particular product shortly. So that was one update I wanted to bring up. Another update is that our mold injector that's making the collapsible cups, they just went through a great big FDA audit, which allowed them, they handle a lot of plastics and rubber that has to be approved because the product's actually food grade. Well, all of that's been done and everything's going great with that. And they're expecting the molds actually to be completed. And this next week, hopefully, if not by the 12th, it'll be at the very end of the month here, we will have our full samples of those collapsible cups. Once they meet our quality standards, those babies will be here within 4 weeks. So nice. We are ahead of schedule on that as well, because a lot of that won't be delivered until, hopefully before March, and we're ahead of most of that right now. So just wanted to give you some updates. There's a lot of stuff going in. Our aluminum samples are coming this coming week. We have meetings with our manufacturer this next week to actually set up all of the timelines for the different batches of toppers. So a lot of super positive things. I think a lot of that had to do with a lot of the work that we did prior to the Kickstarter to kind of get a jump start so that we hopefully can overperform for you. That's basically the updates. I think the only other thing we wanted to mention with our updates is we just finished all of the locking down of all the international orders. Maybe you can address that for a second.
This week we went through and all the international orders we went through individually. I went through and it was double checking all the shipping charges, making sure that everything was squared away. And in fact, a large number of people, we were able to combine certain things, save them a little bit here or there. So do the best we can there, because when you're shipping internationally, it's kind of weird to the system. We have to set it up a certain way for people who just buy one item. But then if they're going to buy a bunch of things together, sometimes we can package them together. So we went through all those and they're all locked down. So if at this point you wanted to add anything to your order, you just have to email us at support@gametoppersllc.com, and then we can still add things into your order all the way up until fulfillment. So it's not an issue. You just have to let us know.
Yeah, as a backer, you are unable to make any changes to the locked order, but we're happy to accommodate anyone that needs some help. Even if, for instance, the fantasy mat, if it all of a sudden you said, oh, I didn't realize that, maybe I'd rather have the scythe, or maybe you picked up, the space mat and you decided you would rather have the fantasy mat, or any change like that, we're happy to help you. It does create extra work for us. So if we're not asking everybody to go in and analyze their order. That would cause us a lot of extra work. So hopefully you make good choices. But if you do have any concerns, please reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help out. We also offered local pickup, and you can pick up at our facility in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, and save the shipping minus a $25 setup charge for all of that. And that's something available. You need to email us as well. So, excuse me. Let's do some fun facts.
Yay!
Excuse me.
Tell Berkey no more dying. Bye-bye.
So, fun facts. Kay King has a question.
I have so many of them.
Well, you read your question.
What, really?
Well, of course.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Are there any crude sketches or pictures of the first Game Topper prototype?
There are no crude sketches. There are only fantastical sketches. A lot of that was done in my head when I was working in the wood shop on the first 3 items. And I did have some drawings about my measurements, and a lot of that stuff was really thoughtful for the sizes, but almost everything that I designed initially was based on the Watson. Because we felt, we played downstairs on a dedicated table that my dad built me that I designed, and it was basically the footprint of a Watson. We ended up making 5 total prototypes, and we still have the last 2 solid oak prototypes that we made prior to going to our newer aluminum, military-grade aluminum rail system.
Awesome. All right. So how much did the first prototype cost versus how much a Game Topper costs now?
Yeah. You don't want to know. At least I don't want to know. It was a bit painful. I paid more for the initial 60 toppers that I made to have proof of concept before we went to Kickstarter. I paid more for those than you are paying retail for your toppers now.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big risk on my part, and that a lot of people don't understand manufacturing. You don't do anything in small quantities. Anytime you have a low quantity production run, you're going to pay through the nose because it's just not worth it to a manufacturer to do it, and they have setup charges. And in manufacturing, everything's about efficiency. So even our aluminum runs, I mean, we're running a minimum of 500 units, and we're going to be running about 2,000 units. So
Wow. Awesome.
yeah, pretty well.
All right. How many different countries does Game Topper expect to deliver to with this campaign?
Good question. I'm so glad you asked.
It wasn't scripted at all, guys. Not at all.
It was her script. It's a great question, but we are now in 18 countries in the United Kingdom and some of the surrounding countries also, with Finland and Norway and Sweden and so forth. The United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, and we've even been able to ship into Indonesia and into Singapore via Australia at a fraction of the cost of what it would cost us to send from the United States. So it's really a remarkable, and our company is really only a couple years old. And the things we're able to do right now, because all the backers helped us out, it's just crazy to think of where we're at now.
Because of you guys. Thank you.
Exactly.
Mark Livergood has a question here.
Yeah.
How many of the Viking and Dragon toppers were sold?
Good question. That's still happening because we're taking those orders all the way up to fulfillment. The exact number, I think there's about 20 total, but I don't know if I could tell you the breakdown of each model, how many Watson's Homes Dragon, how many Watson Homes Viking. But initially what was interesting is there was a ton of Dragon pledges, and then people shifted to the Viking pledge. And then when all the stretch goals got unlocked, I think people went, well, do I get the Dragon sculpt, or do I get an extra couple mats and an acrylic cover and the Lord Burton? And I want that extension rail bundle. Oh, I want that. And I think people were torn in their decisions, and we probably offered too much good stuff. But
That was a great impersonation of me on my computer.
Well, it really was.
Look at the shinies. All right.
Yosef asks, so the big question is, what do you have in store for us for your 3rd Kickstarter? You're going to have to find out.
We're going to give you wings.
well, we've already talked about several new things. There's not much that doesn't have a lot of forward planning with our company. And our business plan is to stay around for a while. So we're doing all kinds of things to make our brand wider with more offerings. You will stay tuned. You're gonna see more new mats. You're gonna see some new innovations to our toppers that are going to be backward compatible with a lot of our existing customers. New dice towers that are going to be working in our dice system. Crazy cool stuff.
Oh man, I just remember that I saw a prototype earlier today. I'm just gonna be quiet now.
Yeah, that one's not out of the bag yet.
Nope, can't talk about it.
But when she saw it, she went, "Ooh!"
I did. This is a great you should really go into like the art of impersonating people.
Well, thank you.
I was excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, how about this one? Will you give Game Topper facility tours?
Game Topper facility. We haven't talked a ton about it during the campaign, but last year in September, we actually entered into negotiation and purchased a 5,000 square foot building in our hometown, a mile out of town, beautiful property, heated, cement floor, insulated steel building with a pick room, office structure, full warehouse. And we've been renovating that, and we moved into that in last December. And we've actually been doing all of our own fulfillment since this last February. So we've actually developed some systems and efficiencies to help us with this upcoming fulfillment. And if you have a local pickup for your topper, we'd be happy to show you around. It's not Disneyland, but
It's better.
We'll show you the snack corner, the comfy chair, the not comfy chair,
there you go.
and where we keep the drinks. Yes, not the non-Ratafia drinks.
Diet Coke and Mountain Dew. And,
Oh my gosh.
so there's that. Do we have any other questions?
Oh, we're just ranting.
We're just kind of ranting. Let's talk about some fun goals.
Yes.
I had an idea about kind of talking about some like top 5 fun facts from our campaign.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so one of the things that a lot of people were super interested in is what were the most popular mats. One thing we've been so thrilled about what's been happening with our game mats. We entered into an agreement with Breaking Games for their Dwellings of Eldervale.
Yes.
So was that thing gorgeous?
It was so beautiful.
Oh my god.
It had my favorite color on it, so I'm
That
biased.
deep blue and
That
all that
purple.
purple.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a gorgeous mat. You can still, I think, late pledge for it through Breaking Games. Peter Vaughn and the people at Breaking Games are so wonderful to work with. So thrilled to help them. And one thing they saw in us is they started hearing about the quality of our mats and the fact that we could deliver well for them and add to value to their campaign. Well, since that happened, we have several significant companies that are going to also be using us to help with some of these premium 3mm stitch mats, because we're perfectly positioned to add to our existing fulfillment and do that really well for people. So we're really super excited about our mats. Tom Vassell from the Dice Tower actually was on the crowd surfing, and he said, and this was unsolicited and unpaid for, okay, this was on their crowd surfing segment. He said, Berkey has the best mats in this industry, period. And if you know Tom, he tells you what he thinks. And I was so grateful for that kind of a support, just that he recognized he loves these mats. There's several of them that he wants. He wants the castle mat right away.
Oh, of course.
So I've noted when he said it, so I haven't got him one yet. But he's seen them at Dice Tower. Well, these mats are fantastic. And on our first campaign, to date, even with this Kickstarter now, the new numbers coming in with all the new mats, we offer some really cool stuff.
Oh, definitely.
One of the new items that we added for mats was the steel gray.
Oh, yeah.
People love the steel gray. We'll talk about that. That was really cool. We also introduced the new Viking mat.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. That was one of my favorites.
You love that one?
I absolutely love it.
Yes.
Josiah opened that thing up and we had a sample print. He goes, Dad, this is my favorite mat.
We had a lot of offers at Origins when we were showing it
Yeah,
off.
we were.
Oh man.
And the same artist, Jaroslav Radecki, who did Reavers of Midgard for Grey Fox Games, he's such a fantastic artist. We lent them our Watson oak topper for their booth, and we had that mat there for them to demo Reavers of Midgard. And it was so, the experience and the feedback was crazy off the hook. Love that one. Then we had my friend, and getting to know even better now, is Jamie Stegmeyer from Stonemaier Games, right? What a kind man. I had this idea, but I didn't know if he'd even be open to the thought. I was a little geek boy towards Jamie anyway. I love Jamie's stuff. I have a lot of respect for his prowess in the Kickstarter arena. I read his book. I listened to his audiobook twice. I've read almost every post. So I have a lot of respect for him. Love the game Scythe. And I had this idea actually 2 years ago when I was scribbling one day, just drawing out this idea for a Scythe-inspired mat. Well, got up the nerve, called him, talked to him, emailed him, then ended up talking to him. Worked out an arrangement that he gave us full permission to use our artists to make our new Scythe-inspired resource mat. And basically, he said the only restriction is just say it's not mine. It's not an authorized product by Stonemaier Games, and so he doesn't have to deal with any of the management of it or anything. He was thrilled. He said, you can even call it a Scythe mat. And I said, well, let's say Scythe inspired, just so there's no confusion, so it doesn't cause you heartache. But he has actually a game table from a different company than ours, and we actually made him a custom sized Scythe mat as a thank you, and sent it, and he posted on Instagram, and he's just like, this is way better in person than
It is impressive.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
The Scythe mat is gorgeous. And then another dear gentleman, I just love this guy to death. It blows my mind, the creativity to be a designer, to have the business prowess to be a publisher, to have the artistic skill and vision to be the main artist.
That's only one person. I know who you're talking of. Mr. Ryan Lockett.
Ryan Lockett. At one convention, we actually got to have dinner with him at the one.
We're best friends, you guys. I made him my best friend. I told him he's fine. He's fine with it. It's cool. It's cool.
and Ryan's such a kind, soft-spoken individual, and I've been able to talk with him many times now. And the Red Raven shirt that I have, my red soft fabric shirt's my favorite shirt actually now. I love that shirt. Anyway, we asked him if he would be willing to do a piece with his artistic style, and he absolutely did. And it's this enchanted forest with this romantical, gorgeous. It's basically, it looks a lot similar to the artwork from Haven, except we kept the art assets all the way around the edge, and he's got some little tweaks in there. So the center of the game is a game mat is very easy. You can play photosynthesis on that. You can play Wingspan. I mean, you can play all kinds of different games, but it's Ryan Lockett, and when you see it, you feel it immediately. It's fantastic. What other new? Oh, we offered the green terrain mat with 1.5 hex grids on it, and that mat really looks fantastic. I think that was the new mats we introduced. We have a brand new wood grain mat. It's a new and improved is the way I would call it. So we want to talk about which of these mats you think are the #1 sellers on our new Kickstarter. And before we give you those numbers, those fun facts, overall, our best-selling mat to date is...
you're putting me on the spot.
So this would be a Generation 1 mat as a clue.
Is it the red one because it came standard?
The red one is actually second. People love the standard red. They like the plain. There's a lot of love for that one.
Starfield.
No, Starfield was number 3 overall, actually.
That-
It's
I'm
still very
really great
popular.
at this game.
Was it the castle?
No, Castle was actually is one of my favorite mats, and it's not been one of the top sellers.
Wait, I know which one it is. It's the adventure mat.
The Adventure Mat.
Yes! I got
The Adventure Mat. It basically kind of resembles Middle Earth, and
Yeah.
it's still. We'll tell you where it ranked in this new Kickstarter, but overall, it's still number 1 because a lot of our Generation 1 backers own it. So they weren't going to buy another one. They're buying all the new mats that are coming in.
Mhm.
So let's go down to number 5.
I don't have number 5.
Number 5.
Technical difficulties.
So what would be number 5? What would you think?
Oh, yeah,
It's actually going to be the Adventure Mat.
That's probably the steel gray for this Kickstarter.
Oh, it is steel gray.
Yeah.
We could go and get the exact numbers, but it's probably very close because there was a big number on the Adventure Mat in the Watson and the Holmes still on this Kickstarter, but the gray was bigger, right?
Yeah.
So you got the number right there, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't. It's a lot of numbers to add.
Just look at the Watson comparison real quick.
Talk, so there's not there.
So many numbers. We can't do math on the spot. We're real bad at math on the spot. Oh man.
Yes, there were more Watson adventures than Gray.
It's very close on number 5 between the Adventure and the gray. On the Holmes, I think there was actually more gray than Adventure.
So many numbers.
He's out of stew. We have 6 pages of facts here. We're not going to go through all of that.
It's a lot of numbers.
That's my job.
Math faster. We totally hum the Jeopardy theme, right? It's,
Wow. All right. Well, turns out the Adventure Mat. So when I did these numbers for our ratings, I was kind of doing the newer ones. The
Okay.
Adventure Mat actually placed higher on this list. The Adventure might actually be number 4 on the
Number
list of
4.
5,
wow.
Okay.
which would push down to number 5 the Scythe-inspired mat.
The Scythe-inspired mat,
Ooh.
number 5. So this is not a fully scientific. We didn't add up every size because there's one thing. We offered the Adventure Mat in the Excel sizes and that 3x5 as a special stretch
Yeah,
goal. So
not including.
we're not adding that in there, but the Adventure Mat and the gray steel gray mat and the Scythe-inspired mat, big sellers, really did well. And then the Adventure Mat's right there. So what's number 3?
Number 3.
Any guesses?
I looked at it. I can't guess.
Okay. Did you see it too?
No.
You're not
Number
reading
3.
over my shoulder.
I'll go with the star. No, that was for Gen 1. The hex screen.
Hex screen. No, not the hex screen. You've already seen it.
I've already seen it. I'm
All
sorry.
right, what's number 3?
Number 3 is the new Fantasy Mat.
The Fantasy Mat, 3rd in popularity. And I think that might be significantly improving now as people have seen more of the final artwork and know what direction we're going with that. Number 2.
Yeah, stop making me guess. I looked at the list.
Oh yeah, see now.
I can't guess. I'm going to put the
I'll
list
go with-
together.
The Ryan Lockett mat.
Ryan Lockett mat. I believe that's accurate.
It is correct.
Yes.
Ryan Lockett mat, number 2. People love Ryan Lockett. Well done. And the number 1 overall selling mat from Game Toppers 2.0 is the Viking mat.
Knew it.
Yes. Oh, of course.
Of course.
Um,
That's so beautiful.
When we do these top 5, the numbers are very close. So it's not like there's a big spread between these either. There was a lot of orders. We placed our initial container load, and we know that soon as that shipment comes in, we'll be reordering another almost double that amount because we couldn't get enough on one container to order the extras that we would want. So we're going to have another back-to-back order coming in right after the fact. And so after our November fulfillment for mat only pledges, we'll have mats available at some of the conventions like PAX Unplugged and BGG Con. And so really cool, excited about that.
I wonder if the difference is that people actually got to see the Viking one in person, whereas the other ones
That
were just
might have
kind
been
of concept art. That
It's
might be-
interesting. I the whole time I was wondering what people would think. You know, this scythe-inspired mat, you can use this resource mat for so many games.
Everything.
Because the color palette is so neutral, even though it's probably one of the busiest mats that we have. And generally we keep all the art assets very much around the edge, but because the color palette is so neutral, Meeple Source at Gen Con was using the scythe-inspired mats on the Adlers to demo Wingspan, to demo My Little Scythe and Scythe.
Sure.
And everything looks great on it.
Yeah,
It's
it really
not distracting because of the palette blends so nicely.
I never take mine off my table. As a matter of fact, all of my friends have been threatened on pain of life that if they even think about eating near my scythe mat, I will end them. So, but yeah, I play everything on it.
Pain of death.
It's not a good way to go.
No, I wouldn't want that. So stay off Kay's table. So we're going to do another. Do we have any other questions? Or no? Okay, we're going to do just a couple quick other top our top 4 accessories.
Yes, to you.
So number 4.
No, he didn't have time. He didn't prepare.
Kay wanted to know what our top accessories. I'm going to tell you from the top of my head without us going through the exact numbers. I know first off that the accessory rail bundles, incredibly popular. Boy, did we sell a lot of accessory rails. The extension rail bundles, people went nuts for these. We sold a lot of them with the rail bags, the extension XL mat. Thus, part of our mat order was really significant. Excuse me. The dice tower systems, I have this hooked on the rail here, so I don't know if I can take this off for you to see it very well quickly. Can you help me there, please?
You can just turn the camera.
This whole dice tower accessory rail kit, we had a 4-pack that was unlocked, super popular. We sold a lot of those and the dice towers. People are loving that. But we sold quite a few of the acrylic covers, quite a few of the Lord Burktons and that kind of thing. But by far, the #1 selling accessory, if we call the game mats an accessory, that's #1. But as a separate accessory, the #1 thing was our mat storage bags.
Oh, that's surprising. I mean, it makes
Awesome.
The overall amount of these mat storage bags for you to store your game mats, these are beautiful, aren't they?
Oh,
They really are.
And they are perfectly fit.
They have the hook on top so you can.
I like the little window where you can see what mat you're storing on the inside.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Nice zipper. They're fitted toward the mats, and they're just amazing. And boy, have we got a lot of these going out.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to continue to improve how we sell our game mats with these wonderful storage solutions. We sold also a lot of the rail padded rail bags. They were part of the stretch goal. So that was really cool. #1, the top selling game toppers.
Yes.
Any clues about that?
I'm gonna say the Watson, your original.
The Watson, by far the #1 selling. No, not by far.
By a very slim margin, Watson maintains its position as leader of the
pack.
Everybody likes Holmes. I mean, well, everyone thinks Watson carries the show, really, but yeah, he did.
Well,
Say the difference between the two was just over 10.
over
Wow.
10 different.
Just over 10 between Watson and Holmes total members.
That's crazy.
So currently, people are still purchasing toppers and late pledging, and that will continue up to fulfillment. So this could switch, but right now it's neck and neck, basically, Watson and Holmes. The Mycroft is right after that.
Mycroft is about 30 behind.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
people
That's
love the
awesome.
Mycroft. And the Adler is doing very well. That's the new model in the Moriarty. But a lot of people just chose to buy the Mycroft because you get a Moriarty with the Mycroft, basically, essentially. So that was pretty super good. I think we need to celebrate and we need to toast.
Yes.
All right,
Excellent.
so we're going to break open this champagne.
Uh-oh.
We're going to see how
We're
this
gonna
bad
hide.
boy goes.
We're gonna hide. Oh
We
no.
maybe should have done this sooner.
Probably.
Probably.
Okay.
Whoa!
Okay.
Oh,
So
boy.
I'm still
I
alive.
apologize in past.
This is our game topper little champagne.
Probably should have muted the mic.
We should have muted
Sorry,
it,
guys.
but that's no fun.
Hopefully none of you had
I need
headphones in.
champagne to
Yeah.
calm my nerves. There you go.
Also, people are wanting to let you know, Kay, that you can actually clean your mats.
So that's how it
Is that how that works?
Yeah,
that is.
Is that a kickback to my I put my game mats in the laundry my washer and dryer?
You'll have to be like Jamie Keggy from the Secret Cabal that takes it in the shower
Take a
with
shower.
them.
Rub it, gently massage it.
Well, what we're gonna do, and we have goblet holders for our game toppers. Yes, there you go. With this toast, I just want to thank all of our Game Topper Nation backers. You guys, yeah,
You made it happen.
I would have never dreamed this. If you'd have told me 5 years ago that we would be in this hobby that we love so much and actually doing something like we're doing, and the joy that we constantly are hearing about from people profusely thank us for making this. And I'm just so grateful that it worked and that people love it and that we're able to continue to do this thing and do it at scale. So we're so thrilled and we're just so grateful for all your support, all your kindness, all the encouraging words, the financial backing, the sharing with your friends and family and social media. Man, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do anything. And it's just thank you. So to our backers.
To our backers.
To our backers.
To you guys.
Not bad, Chris.
Really nice.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll break open that Ratafia in a few moments, and we'll have one final announcement. Was there anything that you found really interesting during this campaign?
Personally, I think I'm a bad spot thinker.
Meeting all the people at the conventions that we helped with was really awesome, and getting to hear their stories and finding out how many people are in Minnesota that got them too. That was really fun.
That's pretty
Funny that.
fantastic. Yeah, we were just like, how close are you? That's like an hour away from us. We could totally hang out and play games on our toppers. That was a lot of fun.
It really was.
I always love going to the conventions, meeting all you guys, chatting with people, seeing the reactions when people see the toppers in person, because it's one thing to hear about it, but when you see it and how it works, and like people always say, you mean it's not clamped down to the table? How do you do this? And like people always try to pull it off. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it.
Seeing people's reaction to the Viking mat in person was one of my highlights.
That was amazing.
But what were some things in this campaign, Josiah, that you thought were highlights?
Oh, put me on the spot now.
Getting to nap that one time after he got the orders.
This guy's been working like a dog. We both have put our paying our dues to make this happen, but it's truly a joy. So was there anything particular that you noted that you thought was memorable?
Oh, now I'm always bad at this when I'm put on the spot.
And then you think about it after the
Yeah.
fact, right? You go, oh, I could have said that.
Problem is I'm too analytical. I'm a gamer, and so I'm like now thinking like, but I can't say that if that was the real processing.
He has a little bit of complimentary AP.
Yeah.
I'll
Probably
give-
just getting in to interact with all the different backers. You have so many encouraging people, and I think probably the fact that there were not a single backer who was overly negative or, no one who was really like, at least that I saw, that was, like aggressive or mean. You can get a lot of that online, nowadays. And so it's just really refreshing to see, our group of backers
Oh
are
my goodness.
just some great people and a lot of kind words, a lot of encouragement. And that really helps, keep everything going.
You guys are amazingly supportive, and it never ceases to amaze me how wonderful the gaming community is as a whole, just welcoming and inclusive. It's amazing. It's part of the reason why I'm such a huge part of the community here locally, because I feel so grateful to what gaming is as a whole. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I could echo that too. It's just been such a treat. And we virtually, just like Josiah said, our backers have, if anyone was concerned about something or the tone was a little off, our backers would come to and say, no, that'll be okay. Berkey will take care of you. And they'll reassure.
That's so true. Like on the Game Topper Nation site, like I have rarely had to answer a question for a new backer or someone who had a question, because as soon as someone posted it, regardless of the time of day, the other backers will be like, here's the answer you're looking for. Here's Berkey's email. Here's his personal cell phone number. I just haven't had it. It's great.
And that's been a real treat, and I love meeting and talking to all you folks too, because I've had many calls even on a weekend and been able to engage with my backers, and it's never, I'm not really ever getting away from the business, but it's not like things are settling down a little bit as far as the crazy schedule that we were doing up to the Kickstarter and after. But I'm just always grateful when I get those interactions. So never feel that we're too busy to take care of you, because you're our number one priority, and we love that. So I'm going to break.
Yeah, on Kay's line of thought there, I'm going to just give a quick shout out to Shane McDermott, because on the Kickstarter comments, he was on there, I think more than Kay, answering questions.
I literally couldn't get a word in edgewise.
I'm here like,
no, beat me again. I'd be like, all right, it's 4 a.m. I got this. No one else. All of the questions, all of them answered at 4. Okay, that's fine. That's good. I'll just sit here sipping my tea.
Thank you, especially Shane. I know he answered a lot, and to everyone who answered questions.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I could list so many different people's names too, that have went out of their way to do extra special things, and very, very appreciative. We're going to open up this Ratafia and do one final toast. But while we do that, I want to share a little bit of a story with you. And this is going to put a little bit of a human point to it. We're all people just like you. So here's this Ratafia. Let me serve you first.
Oh, such a gentleman.
Beauty before age.
Now, this is a nice sipping type of thing.
So no chugging.
Yeah, this is
Smells nice.
not for that.
Oh,
This
wow.
is from my good friend Barry Doublet. Barry, thank you.
Barry.
Let's cheers to Barry.
Barry.
To Barry, good friends in
To
Aurora.
Barry Dublé.
Is it doublet?
It's Doublet, but I kept calling him Dublé because he's in France. So let's give a little sip to him first.
He's twice the brother of Michael Bublé.
That is very nice.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that tasty?
Get a lot of raisin flavor.
Mhm.
You're right. It is.
I know it's honey.
Yes,
Yeah,
for the
a little
person
bit.
who mentioned it in the chat. Yes, very much like mead.
Very much like mead.
Yeah.
Yep, and yet it's a champagne derivative.
Mhm.
Really, really tasty. Well,
I love this like it so much. It's better than champagne.
one of the things that I talked about in the campaign in several of my updates is that I had a hope goal. And many of you even reached out to me and said, I'm so sorry you didn't reach your hope goal. Because in that email, one particular, I said, we have a hope to do 750,000 in our backers. And the reason I had that hope goal, we would have been fine at the 500,000. We'd be able to deliver everybody well. But honestly, in the last couple of years, I have worked like a dog. I've worked many times 80 hours plus a week. Up to the end of the Kickstarter, I had actually worked 10 weeks without a day off and that kind of heavy schedule. And this isn't my first time at the business rodeo, so I've paid this price before, so I understand the cost.
That's why he's great. Berkey is really only 40 years old.
It's not the age, it's the mileage.
He's not 40. I'm just doing the math here. He's 40 and I'm drinking.
Doesn't work. So the question is, how old is Berkey?
That's for the next live chat.
But we, I had that desire, and the reason was that was the number that made me feel comfortable in my business plan that we could start adding to our team. And with the acquisition of our fulfillment center, Josiah's been doing a fantastic job with customer service and logistics and helping managing inventory. Fantastic. Helping make sure this backer kit was a good experience for our backers, best that we could make it. He's done a fantastic job. I couldn't be more proud of him. And that was the first step for us to improve as a company. We've had so many people that have helped us, like you folks have helped us at conventions. You've been supporters, helped on the backer, on the Kickstarter campaign comments, and been a moderator for me, and went to the Gamma Trade Show and helped me. And what a grueling trip that was for us. And
we'll never speak of it again.
It was rough. It was a long trip, and it was hard work. And she didn't complain a lick. She just helped us. And I can't thank you enough for that. You guys are the best, so thank you. But there's so many other people that have helped us. Kira Peevely, off-duty ninja, has helped consulting with the campaign and doing some things, helping me organize, which I'm very grateful for her help. And so many of the publishers, so many of the community, the media has been like amazingly supportive. Excuse me. Just so grateful. That all being said, when we were, I'll be honest with you, 4 days before the Kickstarter had ended, we were sitting at about $400,000. And for most people, that would be a really wonderful number. For me, my cost of product is really expensive. And at that number, we fulfill everything fine for our backers. But it wasn't really what we needed to go to the next level. And I started to become discouraged. I'm sitting there in my chair one morning, and the weight of working so hard and the weight of a Kickstarter campaign can really, really get to you. And I was at that kind of low point that we all have from time to time, right? Mm-hmm. And we had all of our stretch goals planned out up to $520,000. And my daughter does a lot of the work. Hannah has been amazing. Yeah. You see the artwork and the effort we put into making a quality presentation that was professional. We really did a lot of work, and she just did an amazing job for us. I was ready to change all those numbers because I didn't think we would hit those goals. And I sat back in my chair and I took a deep breath and I just said a quick little prayer. And I just felt, everything's good. Everything's fine. And I don't need to make any changes. We're doing really well. And that night we did like 35,000 in backers. Mm-hmm. The next day we did 45,000. When it was all said and done, we blew through 520 and went all the way to 572. And I just can't be more grateful. I don't mean to get emotional. We've poured our lives into this, so you can see that we care about this. But I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to God that He helped us do this too, and I'm so grateful for all my friends. I just couldn't imagine it. Well, it gets better, and this is what I want to toast to. The future of Game Toppers is very bright. We're going to do some awesome things. We're going to take our company to another level increasing the gaming enjoyment. We're going to do things with other companies that are going to collaborate, you're going to love those kind of add-ons. It's very exciting about our future. To date, our lake pledge manager, we've already done over $470,000 in the late pledges. That was shipping charges that were added after, but it's all of the extra sales that people have come back and purchased a bunch of add-ons. New backers came in. New people are still coming in, and we've surpassed my hope goal. And that again is a thanks to all of our backers, because now we're actually in the process of bringing on additional help in our fulfillment center. We're also going to be bringing on help with our affiliate stores that are coming into the fold. And what else do we say? Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's beautiful.
And just in case anyone was doing the math there, that does put us actually over $1 million for the Kickstarter when you add it on the pre-orders. So
That gave me shivers. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind. And you know, it's such a huge amount of money, but what we really, it's not going in our pockets. There's a lot of overhead to what we do, and there's a lot of when we purchase the product, we need to over purchase. So a lot of the profit that's gone from the campaign is so that we can buy ahead for the next campaign and or our affiliate stores and other things. So we won't really realize a lot of the profit till we start selling through that inventory. But because we did the numbers, it allows us to purchase more to get our pricing in line. Because if I don't get the volume, that's where I'm really in trouble. And thankfully, we're just exceeding all those expectations. And we're just so grateful for your trust. We're so grateful for your friendship and support. And as always, we just want you to know that we're here for you. If you need anything, support at Game Toppers LLC. You can reach Josiah Berkey at Game Toppers LLC, and we'll be here for you. And you can call Kay at any time of the night. And her cell phone is?
No, please, no. If you feel the need, I'm Level Up K on Facebook and Instagram. I'm more than glad to answer any of your questions. I literally answer all of my friends' questions every time. They're like, should we really buy a topper? And I'm like, welcome to my Casbah. And they sit down at my table and then they go, all right, maybe.
Yeah, it's Game Topper Central when you go over to their home.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, we have.
I think that's about all we really need to talk about here. Was there any other comments or questions we needed to?
not really questions, just congratulations and toasts.
Well, again, thank you so much. Thank you guys. We are going to game tonight. And guess what? Tomorrow we're going to game. It's BerkeyCon. And we're going to have a great time. And thank you all again. And we'll continue to be in touch.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.